Hi. Today we'll continue from where we stopped yesterday, and it was where we read about the allotment of land to the Israelites, remaining land. And chapter 19 tells us how the tribe of Simeon was within the inheritance of those of Judah, because the territory given to Judah was too large for them. So the Simeonites received an allotment within the territory. So now, from my understanding, it was that if you thought of the land of Judah like a donut, the land of Simeon was like the hole in the middle, the smack in the middle of it. I remember I had spoken about in the past how they said the tribe of Simeon was later absorbed into Judah because they kind of lost their place. Obviously, going back to the curse that Simeon got on himself for the shady thing that he did back to his father, Jacob. And then we saw the city of Bethlehem mentioned, but the city of Bethlehem that was within the territory of Zebulun was in the town of Bethlehem in Judea where Jesus was born. So there were two Bethlehems, obviously. And the famous Mount Carmel, where Elijah disgraced the prophets of Baal, we'll get there, was within the land of Asher. The children of Dan extended their territory by fighting and taking over the city of Leshem. They now named it after their father Dan. Now, this Danites, right? They have always acted like a very suspect tribe, and I think I have confirmed that there's something about them, and we'll find out as we go on. Joshua also got the inheritance that he was promised. Remember when he was a spy and went into the land, God promised he and Caleb, and being, the one who was sharing and the one who had it promised, he was allowed to choose, and he apparently chose a very secluded area. I'm sure he was like, I'm old, I don't want to be dealing with the Israelites all the time, and he asked for a city called Timnath Serah, and it was in the mountains of Ephraim. And he built, it was the land, so he built a city and lived there. And remember that he's an Ephraimite as well, so he got it within his clan. So God reminded Joshua about the cities of refuge. How good was that? Like, God was serious about those cities of refuge. And if you remember, the cities of refuge were those cities within all the tribes which allowed people who had killed people by mistake to run to and be safe. And it was also for foreigners and travelers. It was like that city, and God was like saying, I'm serious about it. I need a place where those who may have lost their place for whatever reason could go to. What does that tell you about God's heart? The Levites, their cities were scattered all through the land intentionally, and I believe that this was to ensure that there was a Levite, in each of these clans, because remember that they were tasked with teaching the children of Israel about God, and being their mediator, and doing priestly things. So it was there, they were dispersed around the people to ensure that their responsibilities with and for the people were carried out. And some of the cities of refuge which were spread out were also done so for accessibility, so that there's always a city of, so if you killed someone maybe here, for example, by mistake, remember, you could run to a city close by. Not that the city of refuge will be like miles and miles away, and before you get there, the avenger of blood will find you and kill you. Now let me share my hashtag getting to know God moment. At the end of chapter 21, God gave Israel all of the land that he had promised their fathers, and gave them rest all around. None of their enemies stood against them. I thought that was a very strong statement. Just imagine being surrounded by your enemies, but they couldn't stand against you. God has been so good to the Israelites and has given them all good things. Everything he had promised came to pass. God is still the same today. He doesn't change. He satisfies us with the good things, and his promises over our lives never change. Now, what is the promise that God has given to you? What promises, maybe even from the time of old, because it has taken so much time, you think that it won't come to pass. If God said it, he'll do it. Trust him always. Thank you for joining me today. Tomorrow we'll pick up the lessons from Joshua. Remember, we're coming to the end of the book of Joshua, so we will actually end Joshua tomorrow. So I'll be sharing lessons from 22 to 24. I hope you've read it, and I'll see you then. Have a good evening.